everywhere. Our children's health and well-being takes priority. As parents, we take great care in the food we provide, the physical and mental stimulation we encourage, the safety precautions we implement at home, school, and in our children's environments, I stand here before you today because one of my boys has become electrosensitive. What this means for him is that exposure to wireless radiation for approximately 2 hours will result in a migraine, headache, and vomiting. This negative health effect is afflicting my son all within the acceptable limits of Safety Code 6. This is unacceptable to me. I became aware of my son's electrosensitivity 2 years ago. The issue became clear over a period of 3 to 4 months. Suddenly, a trip made up north would result in a migraine, headache, and vomiting. The only difference to this trip, a trip that our family had been making for years, was that our new car was equipped with Bluetooth. I thought perhaps motion sickness might be the issue, but the new car was a smooth ride compared to the previous car. Motion sickness was not the issue. I disabled the Bluetooth and the trips returned to normal, with my son arriving up north well. In and around the same period, our family purchased a game console. On the rare occasions that I allowed my son to play video games for an extended period of time, my son suffered the same negative health effects, a migraine and vomiting. The very same video game, however, played, by the way, Lego Star Wars, you parents out there know that, played on DS with wireless disabled for the same period of time did not trigger the symptoms. I must admit that I have always questioned cell phones and the equipment used to enable them. Therefore, my boys were not with my cell phone. However, I did not realize that several devices in my home operated on the same wireless frequency. I began educating myself on the subject of wireless radiation. I contacted Health Canada and questioned Safety Code 6. The information I received was not comforting. Actually, it was downright disturbing. Our Canadian Safety Code is based on 6 minutes of thermal effects on a mannequin representing a 220-pound man exposed to wireless radiation for 30 minutes a week. I think we can all agree that this is obsolete in today's use of the wireless devices. I was told by Health Canada and Industry Canada that negative effects were not conclusive. Well, I'm here today to tell you that negative biological effects are conclusive. My son is living evidence. I was told that more research is needed. I decided there was no way my son would be part of this research, so I adopted my own precautionary principles. We disabled all wireless devices and hardwired our home. Now our voluntary exposure in our home is minimal and mindful. We certainly continue to enjoy all the benefits of technology. We do so without being bombarded with the wireless radiation. However, involuntary exposure became an issue 16 months ago. Our local municipality granted Bell Canada placement of 6 commercial 4G LTE antenna, 127 meters from our home, directly above a daycare, a church, a fire station, and neighboring homes. This meant our involuntary would be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our community went to great lengths to oppose the placement of the 6 antenna. Our efforts were to no avail. The community was assured by Bell, the municipality, and the regional chief medical officer that our involuntary exposure was well within safety code limits and that Bell was well within their corporate rights to place the equipment in our community-sensitive area. Having learned and witnessed the negative health effects my son experiences, we took every precaution possible to ensure our family was protected. We did so by shielding our home. This past year, Wi-Fi has rolled out in the majority of schools. Fortunately for my son, the Wi-Fi routers in his school are located outside of the classrooms, in limited areas. His principal and teachers are aware of his electrosensitivity. They are and they ensure his exposure is minimized. Health Canada and Industry Canada state that more research is needed. In the meantime, don't all children deserve to have the precautionary principle implemented? Or shall we allow our children to be part of the research? We owe it to our children to take the proper measures to ensure the right to a safe environment is upheld. We must be our children's advocates. In researching the topic and witnessing the negative health effects firsthand, I became aware that the issue is clearly controversial. There have been claims and avoidance declarations made that electrosensitivity is psychosomatic. I'm standing here because my son suffers from negative health effects due to wireless radiation. You are the experts today to consider and acknowledge that my child's negative reaction in his normal environment, minus any preconceived ideas regarding the negative health effects of wireless radiation, equals factual evidence. He is our proof. Honorable panel members, this is a real issue that requires your urgent attention. You have a huge opportunity here and now. You can hold Health Canada accountable. Health Canada must update Safety Code 6 to reflect today's use and the proliferation of wireless technology. The precautionary principle will protect the health of our children. As an advocate for all Canadian children, I would expect that at the very least, Canada adopt the same regulations and policies as other first world countries like France and Austria, who have already acknowledged negative biological effects of wireless radiation. They have implemented the precautionary principle in community-sensitive areas. In closing, I would like to quote Professor Ole Johansson, a globally recognized expert on the subject. I encourage governments and local health and educational bodies to adopt the framework of guidelines for public and occupational EMF exposure that reflect the precautionary principle. As noted, the precautionary principle states when there are indications of possible adverse effects, though they remain uncertain, the risk from doing nothing may be far greater than the risk of action to control these exposures. The precautionary principle shifts the burden of proof from those suspecting a risk to those who discount it. As some nations have already done, the precautionary strategies should be based on design and performance standards and may not necessarily define numerical thresholds because such thresholds may erroneously be interpreted as levels below which no adverse effect can occur. Some 100 years back, we learned the hard lessons of ionizing radiation and the need for strict health precautions. Now we must openly face the possibility that we must take a seat in life's school and learn again. This time it is about non-ionizing radiation. End of quote. Once again, I thank you for your time here today. Your attention is greatly appreciated. May I add, because of my life experience with this complex issue, I have become a dedicated volunteer with Canadians for Safety. This organization is focused on protecting all Canadians. Thank you.